With just a single phrase, the young woman cast a spell, instantly immobilizing the young man. Then, with a gentle tap of her hand, the dying old man suddenly woke up. The moment he saw the young woman, his eyes welled up with tears, because standing before him was the very girl who had saved his life when he was a child. From that moment on, he devoted his entire life to serving her. When she gave him the jade thumb ring, his family's fortune soared. This was a closely guarded family secret, one the younger generation was completely unaware of. They simply assumed that the young woman was the old man's illegitimate daughter. So, when their father, on his deathbed, insisted on seeing her one last time, the entire family was convinced she must be the child of an old lover. The old matriarch had been sharp-tongued and proud her entire life, and she never expected her husband, a man of such principle, to pull something like this just before he passed. Unbelievable. His sisters-in-law and daughters-in-law wasted no time making snide remarks, their biting words making it hard for the matriarch to maintain her composure. She, too, wanted to know what kind of woman could linger in her husband's heart for so many years. Of course, none of them could have imagined that this woman, despite the passage of so much time, had not aged a single day. When the old man's son first laid eyes on the young woman, he thought he must be mistaken. How could someone so youthful be a friend from his father's younger years? Seeing their disbelief, the young woman turned to leave. This left the family's powerful patriarch feeling awkward, but with his father critically ill, he had no choice but to humble himself and ask her to stay. She moves so gracefully, like a celestial being, someone whispered. Sister-in-law, is this really the descendant of father's old flame? They still had no idea that the woman standing before them was the very person their father had been longing for all these years. They simply assumed she must be the descendant of his former lover. The realization made the matriarch feel even more embarrassed. Just as the young woman was about to enter the room to see the old man, the matriarch stepped in her way, determined to uncover the truth. What kind of woman could have occupied her husband's thoughts for a lifetime? At that moment, the eldest son intervened. He moved to stand beside his mother and urged her not to create unnecessary trouble, reminding her that their father's condition was the priority. The old man was hanging on to his last breath, waiting for this very moment. After weighing her options, the matriarch reluctantly stepped aside and allowed the young woman to pass. But just as she was about to enter, she glanced at the eldest son's wife. A dark aura surrounded her.
你节哀吧。
No one understood the meaning behind her words. They only exchanged puzzled looks, assuming she was simply being arrogant. At that moment, the young woman finally stepped inside. I'm sorry for the trouble, the eldest son said, lowering his voice. As long as our father can let go of his regrets and pass in peace, our family will be forever grateful.
让开。
The eldest son wasn't bothered by her arrogance, his only concern was his father's condition. The young woman approached the old man, lightly tapping him a few times before softly calling out his childhood nickname.
醒来吧。
At the sound of her voice, the dying old man instantly regained consciousness. Just as they were about to call the doctor, the young woman used her magic to stop them.